So today we mark World Press Freedom Day in the midst of a media climate that's actually been criticized for the treatment of some of its journalists. This day also looks at the state of press freedom in South Africa and compares it to other countries in the world. So according to Media Monitoring Africa, the constitutionally protected freedom of expression within the media is being increasingly eroded by the decreasing number of journalists in newsrooms. To help us unpack this, let's bring in Media Monitoring Africa's Thandi Smith, who's with us via our telephone line this morning. And it's great to have you on the program, Thandi. Thank you so much indeed for your time. And so much has been said, in recent history about the diminishing resources available to newsrooms in order to enable them to do their work. In fact, some add that this is at the heart of the credibility crisis that many newsrooms are facing. How big do you reckon that problem is in South Africa?
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be talking about this topic on such an important day, Global Press Freedom Day. And like you rightly say, the threat to press freedom and credible journalism overall is being continuously threatened. And we still see that today. We still see the challenges of shrinking newsrooms, the economic sustainability of media models and, various different funding models being explored are all sort of elements that contribute to the issue of sustainable journalism. And it's made even sort of more, the issues are made even more prominent by our digital era that we're in. And that's actually the main topic of the main theme around Press Freedom Day this year is journalism under digital siege, and it's talking about how the digital environment is yet another contributing factor to all of these challenges.
It's a fascinating theme because many will still argue that journalists haven't really been able to decide or figure out how to respond to this digital age that we're in. Initially you used to wait, for instance, for the front pages of the newspaper at 6 o'clock in the morning to know what's taking place. Now you've got real-time updates from people, arguably, who aren't even qualified journalists doing the work of journalism.
Exactly. I think, we're still grappling with how the digital age and sort of these digital and platforms and social media platforms have really changed the way in which we communicate and how we absorb information. And it has completely changed the way that we engage with news and with journalists. And, it's the great argument of, who's setting the agenda. Is it media first? Is it social media first? And one of the elements, one of the issues that impact quality of journalism, which we touch on often as well, is the need for journalists and media houses to get the breaking news stories out there first, and get into this very, very quick and speedy news cycle that we see, where that often then overpowers the need for good investigative quality journalism, which is yet another challenge around that impacts media and press freedom.
What further muddies the waters is conversations around whether or not newsrooms have financial models that are sustainable in order to be able to retain good journalists that can churn out quality journalism. And we know, typically speaking, those good journalists are the ones with experience, right? We're losing them because, frankly, newsrooms can't afford them. From the work that you have been able to do, are we any closer to being able to solve that problem?
Well, that is a challenge, that I think whether we're able to solve it or reinvent the wheel, so to speak, I think that there are a couple of different options. I think that publications like Daily Maverick, for example, are examples of different models of journalism where you're still able to do the investigative journalism, but that model doesn't work for all media entities. We see our public broadcaster suffering at this very challenge. Yet there are still some incredible journalists who are doing brilliant work. And so I think it's a balance. I think we haven't yet solved the issue by no means, but I do think that we're seeing some interesting models of journalism being practiced, where we do still get some good quality investigative journalism.
Right. News 24, for instance, I remember is among some of the more mainstream news outlets that started introducing this hybrid model where you pay for some stories and through a subscription, and there are other stories that anybody can access. But of course, that's also raised questions about how ethical that is because of the public service, if you like, that journalism typically gives to people who consume the work we produce.
Well, exactly. But I think that, people need to remember that at the end of the day, yes, journalism and the media are there as, a public good and play an absolutely critical role in democracy. But, media are also business entities and do need to make money to survive. And this also speaks to the willingness for consumers or audience to pay for news. I mean, like we said right in the beginning of the discussion, you used to wake up and buy the newspaper and see the headlines. And people are less willing to pay for media these days. And we need to unpack those challenges as to why people don't want to pay or are more hesitant to pay to subscribe to media. And that speaks to, credibility and trust issues and a range of different factors, but we need media to be sustainable. We need, the news, and credible news at that, and good quality news, if we want media to remain free.
Absolutely. Fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Thandi Smith is with Media Monitoring Africa, helping us unpack some of the issues around journalism on this World Press Freedom Day.